I think the Nikon Z mount is a fantastic development. They have done something really brilliant with the 55mm diameter, and I suspect it is because they will be coming out with a larger sensor. I've done the calculation. I've done all the calculations, and I'm showing you all the calculations, how to do the calculations so you can do it with other camera brands. I will show you also how to calculate the pixel size, which will determine how many f-stops dimmer or brighter your sensor will be. And I'll also show you, is it possible to do a 100 megapixel sensor with the new Nikon Z mount, and can a full frame sensor size be used to create a 100 megapixel sensor. So let us show you, and I will show you how I did all these calculations so you can do the calculations yourself. So my first set of calculations was to show what's the maximum sensor size with the Z mount. The diameter of the mount is also the length of the diagonal of the sensor. Knowing that the length and the height is 6:4 ratio or a 3:2 ratio, we can use Pythagoras theorem to determine the width and the height of the sensor. The width is 45.76 mm and the height is 30.51 mm. And then I go on to show, calculate the pixel area for the Z6 and the Z7, and use that to show how much brightness there is, the difference in brightness. If we assume the same pixel area for both sensors, what would be the resolution of the improved Z6 and Z7 with a larger sensor? The Z6 pixel size is 35.02 micrometers squared, and the Z7 pixel size is 18.77 micrometers squared. So this gives us that the Z6 is about 1 f-stop brighter, 1.86 times brighter. So with a larger sensor, the Z6 improved version would be a 40 megapixel camera, and the Z7 improved version will be a 74.35 megapixel camera. Then I went on to show that if we wanted the Z6 or the Z7 to be a 100 megapixel camera, what would be the new diameter of the Z mount? Okay, here I show you that if you wanted the Z7 to be a 100 megapixel camera, then its diameter should be 63.77 mm. If you wanted the Z6 to be a 100 megapixel camera using the same pixel area size, the Z6 diameter would have to be 87 mm. So it becomes very large. If the lenses are that large in diameter, they'll be more expensive, isn't it? And the last thing I looked at is, if we kept to a standard full frame sensor size, how small would be the pixel area to give you 100 megapixel resolution? Let us take, for example, we want to make a full frame size sensor 35.9 by 23.9 mm into a 100 megapixel sensor. That means that the pixel area will be shrunk to 8.58 micrometers squared. Compare this to the existing Z6 sensor size, which is 35.9 0.02 micrometer squared. This shows that 100 megapixel sensor will be 4 times dimmer than the current Z6 sensor, which means that it will be 2 f-stops darker. That means you really don't want a dark sensor, isn't it? A dim sensor, isn't it? It's amazing, isn't it? That they come out with a Z6 with a larger sensor, which will be 40 megapixels, and it will keep the same sensitivity, dynamic range and sensitivity to dim lighting areas. Can you imagine that? How wonderful that's going to be. I tell you, there is something there in Nikon. They have very good brains. They have done a wonderful job, and they are going into the future with something very powerful.